everyone doing today? Everyone having fun at day one at the Swan Conference? Yeah? All right, welcome everyone to the Young Professionals Workshop. We're really excited to have all of you guys here. To kick us off, we're going to have a word from our sponsors from Optimatics. Let's welcome Boyana, the Chief of Strategy, to the stage. Also, everyone check out your cool notebooks on the table that Boyana brought us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do take them 10 kilos in my backpack. That's it, Tertius, close the door. Well, I've got 5 minutes just to welcome you all to this workshop. Really pleased to be able to sponsor this. This is the first Young Professionals workshop that Swan is doing, right?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's the highlight of the conference every year.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't know. I thought I was special. Anyways. So, yeah, welcome everyone. Optimatics is sponsoring this this session for you, and Tertius is going to take over from me in 5 minutes. For those of you who don't know Optimatics, we are infrastructure planning and optimization software. We work with a lot of water and wastewater utilities around the world, trying to help them save a lot of money and improve performance. It's a very exciting space for us. There seems to be a lot more understanding in terms of what kind of benefits our software can bring. It took us a long time to get to this point, since the 90s, our kind of early academic days, up to where we are now. So we're really pleased with how far we've come. In particular, being in the UK, this is one of our best markets. There's a lot going on, loads new kind of solutions, and exciting space to be for us. There's two other people from Optimatics in this room. There's Lisa and Guillaume, who are our young professionals. The UK team's grown to, how many are we now? 8 in the UK. We are a small global company, part of Suez, but yeah, now we are about 40 globally as well, so, and growing. Okay, thanks. I'm going to mention a couple of things that I wish people told me when I was a young professional, whatever young really means, because I still feel very young, at least by my behaviors. This is what I am. Yes, exactly. And obviously by my looks. So, yeah, a couple of things that I wish people told me. Let me see if this works. In terms of my career, when I started my career, I was very technical, and I thought I'm going to just, be the best at my technical discipline. But that's not exactly how things unfolded in time. There's been a lot of twists and turns. I moved out of the water sector, went back to academia, went back to industry. Now I'm in the software, and quite often, like with us, the older generation, that was often seen like as maybe a drawback of your career. But I think nowadays that's actually a positive thing, that you move between organizations and learn new stuff on the way. Whether that's within your organization or outside of your organization, it's actually quite a good thing to move about, in my opinion, even though traditionally that hasn't always been the thing. So anyways, that would be my career on the page. Things I wish they told me, especially if you come from a sort of very curious or academic background, or all of you being in smart networks space, I imagine that you're looking for a job that values your research, your creative side, your sort of growth mindset side of your brain, rather than a job that is going to be very repetitive and fixed all the time. So for a career in our industry, that actually is a leap in a bit of an unknown, isn't it? It gives you that freedom to develop. And the freedom to develop comes with an organization that has money to invest in innovation, invest in people, can also pay for your childcare, which is a very important aspect of it. And gives you all of the work-life sort of balance opportunities that you are after. Other things that I mentioned, there is, you can surround yourself with like-minded people. Not all jobs are like that. You could find yourself in a job where actually you feel a little bit odd one out because you have the progressive mind and you're kind of thinking in growth mindset, but there's people who actually just, come to their job to do the 9 to 5. I don't think there's many in the Swan community who are like that. So, and where diversity and inclusion prevail over institutional fixedness, because, we are facing, speaking about aging, operational workforce, etc. There's a lot of that kind of stubborn old way of doing things. This is how we are doing things because that's how we've done it before. So it takes a lot to kind of embrace diversity and inclusion that brings kind of fresh mind into it. And speaking of diversity and inclusion, we can talk about that forever because, it's quite a hot topic at the moment in terms of how we embrace not just women, but other kind of other communities within the workforce. But there's a lot of enablers and there's a lot of blockers in it, and, how do you progress your career? And if I take 100% of how my career has progressed, this is because I had support from someone who actually was with me and, was able to share things with me. So not just be my support, but actually share the career opportunities and not always being focused just on you or the other side. Just, bear in mind that, there's your support community, but you also support them at the same time in what they are trying to achieve. And yeah, that is not my husband. I've got one more slide left. One thing just, which is quite a nice segue to what Tertius is going to do today. Maybe right now, for especially the younger ones at the moment, you feel like you've got this one skill that you know how to do really, really well, and you're really, really proud of that skill, and you're kind of pursuing this skill because you just want to be very good at that, and maybe you don't see beyond what else is out there other than just that one thing that you're doing. But I just wanted to say that there's a lot of transferable skills in what you're currently doing, and also you should focus on those things as you're going through your career, things like how to apply research method. This is just some of the ones that I thought about. Being able to start, develop, and finish something, the network of contacts that you're creating in places like this or outside of work, your analytical skills, drive to succeed, report writing, communicating complex concepts, presentation skills, storytelling, all of that, and of course the leadership skills. So bear in mind that as you are kind of developing that, your employers and others around you are not just looking at your technical skills, they are looking at you as a fully rounded person, and your profile is not just what you think about your current expertise, is everything else that surrounds it. And that's all I can say. I'll hand it over to Tertius, who's got some fabulous program.
Thank you, Bojana. All right, very cool. Before we get into the main event, just a couple of quick things about RiSWP. So RiSWP is Swan's kind of young professional division, and it's headed up by our fantastic leadership team, made up of passionate Swan members from around the globe. Here you can see them. We have a couple of them in the room with us. If you guys want to stand up and give a wave. Alex, Vito. Thanks for all your hard work. We also have a great ambassador program. It's an opportunity for all of our young professional Swan members to really develop themselves as leaders. Really happy that we're joined by quite a few of our ambassadors today. So if you guys want to stand up, say hi. If you haven't met these guys in the leadership team, definitely go over to them, talk to them, hear about their experiences, how they got to become ambassadors or on the leadership team. And we hope that some of you guys will join us in those positions in the future. And then we always talk about how young professionals really are the future of smart water. We're thrilled to be featuring so many of you on the stage this year at the Swan Conference. So here we have our young professional speakers. A few of you are in the room. If you want to stand up, give a wave. No, Natalie's not. Yeah, there we go. All right, now I'm going to hand it over to Alex and Vito, who are going to give you guys a short little teaser of some of the activities that they're working on in our Smart Water 101 courses. So let's give it up for Alex and Vito from our leadership team.
Hi everybody. As you can tell from the pictures here, we're no, not there, is it? It's there. We're missing a member today. So Moyo unfortunately couldn't be with us due to some visa issues. So you're stuck with Vito and I, unfortunately. But for those that don't know me, I'm Alex Bailey. I work for Anglia Mortar here in the UK. I am what's called an operational strategy manager. So looking after kind of the long-term strategy for the supply side of our business. Prior to that, worked in optimization for a while in Anglia Mortar also, and I'm actually a student of history and politics. So I've ended up here by accident, really, but it's a pleasure to be here anyway, nonetheless.
Hello, everyone. Jump over here. Vito Gironda here. I work for Xylem, backgrounds in hydraulic engineering, and I basically manage our product development and implementation of our water network digital twin. So excited to be with you guys today. So RiSWP, if you guys are not all familiar, is an organization affiliated with SWAN. It's free for everyone to join. It is a group of young professionals and students focused on connecting students and young professionals with data-driven solutions against water's most pressing challenges. There's some great opportunities within RiSWP, including career development program, the mentorship program, and the ambassador program. All lots of good resources within and great opportunities to learn more about RiSWP and the smart water industry. So everyone's here because there's some level of interest in smart water. So if you're interested in learning more, there's the opportunity with SWAN and RiSWP to provide some formal education opportunities for young professionals looking to learn more about smart water and how they can get involved. RiSWP and the leadership team felt that there was a big gap in that in the industry, and they're looking to provide these smart water opportunities for individuals, and the solution was a series of courses called Smart Water 101. So I imagine everyone has seen the SWAN layers at some point, but if you have not, this is what the layers look like in the wheel. The intent is that the courses will focus on the SWAN layers and provide a brief intro into each layer, as well as some examples and applications for how that specific layer is implemented in smart water. Just a brief rundown from 1 to 5. You have physical assets, your sensing and control, collection and communication, data management and display, and data fusion and analysis.
Thanks, Vito. So a couple of slides from me. We're just going to touch a bit more on kind of the transition that the SWAN layers have actually undergone recently. So from the 5 layers that Vito just mentioned into the kind of cyclical diagram that you can see. Far more than a stylistic choice. This is about showing that, good smart water development should be cyclical. It should have that continuous improvement element. And the eagle-eyed among you will have spotted the 2 additions there. So strategic driver and strategic outcome, both extremely important additions to the layers, suggesting that when you embark upon a smart water project or program, you should know why you're doing it, you should know what your driver is, and you should know the outcome that you're aiming for and should be able to measure that when you get to the end. So just wanted to briefly explain why that's changed, and it's relevant to some of the things I'm about to tell you about how, in my experience at Anglia Mortar, we actually use the layers in quite a practical way. I know you can't read anything that's on this diagram, so please bear with me. It's all trade secrets, that's why I had to do that. But basically, Anglia Mortar do use the SWAN layers. We do use them actively. If you catch any of me or my colleagues kind of in a break or through the rest of the evening, I'm sure they'll tell you the same, or at least I hope they will. But we actively use them. So this diagram here is actually a snapshot in time of all of our smart water projects and programs mapped through the layers. So you've got your physical assets, you've got your sensing and control, right the way through the data pieces. And the pale blue and the purple are actually the sort of strategic objectives that we're aiming to. It's really, really, really useful for a couple of reasons. It shows that an initiative has line of sight right the way through, and you need that line of sight right the way through for it to be successful. But it also does a really good job of highlighting gaps. So if you've got, for example, all of the layers up to, but not including data visualization, you aren't going to make it to your strategic objective. So yeah, just wanted to share that as a kind of practical example of a way we actively do use the layers and people are actively encouraged to do that. Not going to go into loads of detail on this slide, but just another kind of specific example of where we've used that for those that were in the digital twin session this afternoon. Some of this will look a bit familiar, hopefully, but this is the kind of things Anglian Water are doing mapped against those layers in the specific context of digital twin. So you can see each of the layers and the things we're doing, but what I really want to draw your attention to is the kind of line round at the bottom there. So all the way through the layers to that strategic outcome, but then the informed decisions, the actions and the results actually going right the way back. And it's no coincidence that they link in with the people box. So it's very high level, but it's a really useful kind of thought activity to say, am I considering every step of this journey, and are we going to get from where we are now to a strategic outcome? So Vito said we were going to talk about smart water courses, and that's true. The reason I wanted to share that is because it's an example of how we feel improving your understanding of the swan layers can actually make you a more effective smart water practitioner. They are useful. That's one example of how they can be used. I'm certain among the room here there'll be other ideas. And what we're hoping to do with the smart water courses is actually bring resources, some of which will already exist, give them a validation and an accreditation to say, you know, these are worth your time, these are worth doing, and to give you a really good resource to actually go, well, there's a particular layer here that I want to know more about, and to be able to go and find a bunch of resources that enables you to do that. We'll come on to a bit of feedback in a moment. We've got some polls and quizzes for you to do, but I'll hand back to Vito just for a moment.
So when discussing the layers, I think the goal of the courses would be to not reinvent the wheel, really focus on the topic as it relates to the SWAN layers, and lean on resources that exist out there, you know, maybe programming or data science, et cetera, and just really lean on that to provide some additional information and learning opportunities and tailor that back to the smart water industry.
So we've got a very exciting bit now. I hope you'll all bear with us while we see how this works. But if you could all grab your mobiles, grab a snapshot of this QR code, or visit Slido, the website, and enter the code. We will shortly have some polls for you to do. So hopefully, as you go through to the main page there, you should have a poll already live, if anyone can confirm that. Thank you. I do need to change that over. Yes. No. Quite like to share that if possible. So with some technical assistance, we've been able to do what we intended, which is show you the results coming in live, which is great. So yeah, the first question, would you prefer a high-level introduction to the SWAN layers or a more detailed dive? So pretty mixed results there, really mixed actually. So that's good. For anybody that's maybe selected something other than both, would both do it for you, or is there a very specific reason why you've picked what you've picked? Is anyone feeling confident to share?
I thought if you're doing a detail that covers high level, right? So that was my idea.
That's a good point. Yeah. Are people changing their mind now, or is this additional results coming in? No, this is good. So what we're doing here is essentially we've got an idea for smart water courses. It's for people like you, so we want to do a bit of market research before we invest loads of time and effort in producing something. So there's a couple of questions, but it looks like we're doing both, Vito. So excellent.
Maybe
definitely. So stand by for another poll. So this one's about what's your preferred method of course delivery. So live in person, live but virtual, pre-recorded on demand, or self-taught from available material. Or if there's an option you're thinking of that's not listed, please do tell us. That would be really useful. I don't think you can on there.
You can tell us more than one now.
Okay. So again, fairly. Oh no, no. I was going to say it's a fairly equal split, but it's constantly changing. So pre-recorded on demand is winning at the moment. Fairly expected, I suppose. Anyone want to share why? What's driving them towards that, or if you pick something else? Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Sure. Mm-hmm. Sure. Thanks, Finn. Any other thoughts? Agree, disagree? Excellent. Sure. Something to take away as a resource. Sure. Thank you.
The self-taught method allows for more things, right? So you can have like questions and quizzes and
It does.
doing a bit of code, you can try that. So
Yep.
rather than just putting followed videos where you just have to keep skipping back to hear what you said again.
Yeah, absolutely. Coding's a great example, actually. So it's one of the things where we're probably not going to look to provide new course material on coding. There's plenty out there, but it'd be a case of saying this has been reviewed, it's been validated, and possibly providing some kind of water industry examples of how you can practice that and use it yourself. So, yeah, great example. So last poll from us is this idea of sort of official accreditation. So something we think is a good idea, but we want your opinion on is some form of formal certification or accreditation to say if you complete these courses or this range of courses, that you get something from SWAN or even another accrediting body to say, you know, you have completed a course and this is what you get as a result. So definitely on the important side of the scale there, which is good. I'm curious, anybody that's said it's less important or not important at all to them, care to venture why? Far away?
Just write it on your CV. You don't need to do a formal qualification.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I guess the most important thing is to understand what the subject of the and
Yeah.
use it.
Absolutely, yeah. Anyone that it was particularly important for?
I think there's a lot of accreditation already available, so you don't want to dilute what's already available.
No,
by having
absolutely.
accreditation. So if you could put the material into something that's already available as a SWAN module or
Mhm.
something, then you're not diluting qualifications and things.
It's a great idea. Yeah, it's a really good idea.
I just want to add the hiring perspective. When we see the resume, we don't have a time to go through all the resumes, right?
Sure.
We just skim through the resume, and when you see this kind of accreditation, that helps to pull through the interview. I think that's why it might have some
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Any other opinions on accreditation? Yeah. Mhm. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 Spot on, Finn. So, probably the final ask from us, I suppose, is we have started a list of those things. So, for each of the layers, what a group of us think are the things. We'd love the opportunity to kind of share that with all of you. I guess we've got emails, Sandy, for people. You know, if that's something that you'd be willing to help us with, that would be extremely valuable. Have we got the right things? Have we got the right priorities? Are you experts in those things that you can help us? You know, Vito and I know a lot or a little about some of the layers, but not all of them. So we'd really welcome your support. If you've used great resources in the past for some of the layers, let us know. And hopefully we can start to build that up together as a body of knowledge, a resource. Finn used the word signpost. I think that's pretty much spot on for what we're hoping to do. Anything further, Vito?
I think that's it.
Lovely. That's all from us then. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Now on to the main event for tonight. I'd like to introduce the facilitator of our data storytelling workshop. Let's all give it up for Tertius Rust, Business Transformation and Innovation Advisor, coming to us directly from the city of Cape Town.
Hello, yes, thank you very much, and I'm glad there's a few of you here. So, let's get started. That's not a good start. Okay, so storytelling, yeah, using data and the craft in your pitch. So what we'll do today, there's a few things, but before we have pizza, we're having pizza, right? Yeah, okay, so see? Yeah, well, we've got loads of avocados in South Africa. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick introduction and why it's important, storytelling in general, then the 20-minute theory, which is, I think, the max that we will probably be able to do. Then there's a break, 30-minute break, then just a recap of what the workshop will entail, and then there's 25 minutes workshop, 15 minutes group presentation. So we might need to split into groups of 4 because it's a bit big, but we can do that a bit later. Okay, so introductions. Have everyone seen this story before? So it's a picture. What do you think happened there? Yeah, it's like, so you can, just a very visual, and there's a lot of emotions that you can think about what happened in that situation. Okay, so have you ever, the knack? Do you guys know Dilbert, Little Dilbert? And the knack? Do you don't know the knack? Okay, so you need to Google this. This is quite cool. Just make a note. Google the knack. So it's Little Dilbert's mom takes him to this doctor and say, look here, there's something wrong with this kid because he takes stuff apart and puts them back together. And the doctor's like, oh no. He's got the knack. Will he be okay? No. He'll become an engineer. Okay, so I'm a civil engineer. And I know there's a few people with different stories, how they got to water and all that type of stuff. I was 14 years old when I saw the Katse Dam in Swaziland, and I said I want to become a civil engineer. So I was quite clear from the beginning, civil engineering, did my master's in computer fluid dynamics, and 10 years later I realized I'm a crappy engineer. Very committed. I am so, how do you say, competitive. So that's why it took me so long to realize I'm a crappy engineer. Then I did my MBA in innovation management, and I realized, oh, there's actually other things you can also do. So I'm transitioning. So when Finn knows my introduction is normally I'm a recovering civil engineer. I still overcomplicate things in the pursuit of creativity, but I did my MBA, so now I oversimplify them to make a decision. So that's who I am. So, the power of storytelling. Do you guys know who this great man is? Okay. I'm not going to read that because every time I read, I get very emotional. So, I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live up to the true meaning of the creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. So, just that story. Do you know about he wrote many things before he went up, and then he put it in his pocket and he just told the story. So it wasn't pre-written this, it was just came out. Anyway, so the power of storytelling and the rights revolutions and all that, it's really, if you tell a story right, you can really make a big difference, and it's very powerful. Okay, so just on that, I'm not a specialist. Like I said, I'm a recovering civil engineer, so I'm trying to catch up. So I'm learning and reading a lot about these things, and it's very exciting. But in my mind, the storytelling is mostly about three things. You obviously want to achieve something with a story. This is like objective. And for you, it could be a promotion, it could be an idea you have, you want support, you need funding, or you just need some people to support you in a certain new avenue or something. So negotiations, persuasion, and influence, those three things kind of go together. So negotiations is basically convincing someone to do something that you want. Okay, persuading them is, okay, negotiating is the art of that. So that's they call it splitting the difference type of thing. And I think James Dunning kind of said if both people are unhappy, it's a good deal type of thing. Persuasion is more the art of knowing what that person is like and kind of navigating it. We call it in Southeast Water when we did, Sam, you know the project, we call it guerrilla warfare. You kind of walking around and then knowing that the executive director will walk past there, and then you stand there and wait and walk up and down, and then when he comes back, oh, hi, yeah, I didn't see you here. So, and then you know their personality, you know where they're going. So you're just taking it to the next step. Anyway, I'll get to that. And then influence. But going quicker than I thought, so this is good. Okay, so when you do a compelling story, like Netflix and all these stories, this is not great. This is my old slides. Anyway, I thought that we were going quick. Okay. Anyway, it's not that bad. Okay. So I know that the icebreaker. So there was an icebreaker. So this is going to be a little bit uncomfortable because there was a little bit of other things there. But anyway, take the pens. So everyone grab a pen if you can get a pen. Okay, and then don't share pens. You will know why now. Okay, and then put the pen in your mouth. And then look to the middle of the table. And just say your name. Okay. So it's a general thing. There's certain tricks that people pull. They know if your mouth look like a smile, there's certain endorphins that goes off in your brain, and that actually encourage more smiling. And so, just I thought it was a good way of just starting that all and faking it till it makes it exciting and whatever. Okay, so there's loads of little tricks that I can't remember all of them, and I have a few that I remember. But you need to connect and engage with people, and there's certain things that lights up endorphins, and like breathing deeply 3 times, like putting your feet, not crossing your arms and all. There's little tricks that helps a story and make you connect, which is all about the storytelling. Okay, trying to remember my slides. Anyway, so a compelling story, there's normally characters. So in Netflix, there's obviously, I think the best character is probably Harry Potter. You know, you've got this characters like, and if you want to think about your initiative you want to sell, you could say it's the frontline staff, or you can say it's the people in the back office, or there's like a specific character. You need to build that character for your storyline, which you're going to. So all of this at the end, just so you know, you're going to give a 45-second pitch, elevator pitch. So you're going to imagine your sponsor is in the elevator. You're actually standing at the elevator waiting for the sponsor to walk in, and then you walk in, and then you have 45 seconds to pitch your idea. So think of now, while you're thinking, what is it, if you go back, what do you want? Is it a specific promotion, or you have a project, or you want support, or you want this one guy never does anything you say, or person, whatever. So think of that one thing, and then we will work on, the workshop will be about creating that pitch. So the characters, it's kind of to the pitch. The setting, so which I had my slides, I can't remember what the setting. There's like climate change, aging, infrastructure. You've got, do you have it? Do you have them on there? Yeah, okay, so I can just look at them here. It's a bit different. Okay, so the setting is like, you guys know the storyline. If you want to do a new project, it's aging infrastructure, climate change, workforce, all that. So it's kind of the setting. You need to make sure that it aligns to your pitch. Then the plot. What is a good plot? The Sixth Sense. You guys know The Sixth Sense? It's like I see dead people type of thing. And then you never know what's going on till right at the end. So that's quite a good plot. So that's kind of how do you use that? Then there's the conflict. Okay, while we wait, so conflict, it's just what is the friction like? There's obviously conflict between resources and what you need to achieve and other initiatives. Now, what is the conflict? You give that problem to the person. It's like, I know you've got this initiative and you've got this money and you need OPEX and you need this, but you're kind of building that. You're acknowledging the difficulty in the plot, okay? Then there's the resolution, which is like Rocky, you know, that kind of overcoming the challenges type of thing. So that's how it normally works. And then you use rhetoric and speech writing, which I'm probably just starting. I'm reading a book, Connected, by a great speech writer, how he connects, how Brexit actually is so fascinating, how he thinks that if Brexit was just called Brexstay or Brex Europe, which wasn't like Brexit, that the whole thing would have shifted, and how Boris connected it to food, and how food is something that makes certain endorphins also go off. And so just the way that Brexit was named and the labels actually accelerated that you need to move away and how Boris made it about food and milk and fishing and all that. So it's just that small little thing actually made a big difference. And look at the impact that it caused. So, that's okay. We can go back to the other one. It's fine. If we can, still do that. This is also funny. People always like, oh, you were so calm when something goes wrong, because it always goes wrong with my slides. Anyway, okay. So rhetoric, there was one of the examples. I had a photo there about Winston Churchill about saying, we will, what is it? We will fight you in the beaches, we will fight you in the roads, we will fight you in the fields. Yeah, type of thing. And kind of speech writing is very important, so you need to keep that in mind. Okay, so overall, I keep on forgetting that that's why I need the slides, so I can't remember any of that crap. Okay, so sorry? Okay, so for me, what I'm going to talk about is mostly 5 things. Okay, and that comes about, so I probably from I was 30, I read 1 book a month. And over time it's compounded, and I only remember 1 sentence from 1 book, because it's just an important thing. And I must say, reading books is quite important. And convincing and persuading people, so technical engineering stuff is important, you need to know your stuff, but the softer people skills, like they're quite well in Anglian actually pushing it, like the whole, how do you collaborate, how you communicate, how you engage and persuade and influence other people is very important, because you need to do that skills. So I'm going to talk about 5 things. So the one is how arguments are formulated. It's a formula. My brain still works a little bit like that. Then how decisions are made. You'll be shocked. Maybe not, but if you think about it, it's not the best way how people make decisions, but that's how people make decisions. Then there's a few negotiating tricks. Then there's 7 rules to power. I'm going to give you just 1 or 2 that you understand how power works. And then innovation requires confidence. So when you do a pitch to a steering group or a big financial thing, just remember there's 3 things that they're looking for. They have no idea what you're doing, but there's 3 things they're looking for, and I'll go through that. Okay, so an argument is quite simple. You've got your facts. That is well known. It's like, this is white. This is. You're going to try it again? Okay. So an argument is based on facts. Then your claim. Your claim is what your idea is. So the facts are, we're not making money. And your claim is, if we do this, it will. So you need to make sure that you understand quite clearly, this is facts. This is I think Elon Musk called it the fundamentals. This is like the truth. This is the fundamental truth, and no one can take it away. Great, thank you. Cool, great. That's good. Okay, so now I've got my slides. So the facts, data, and then the claim, your idea, and then how you link those 2 is your story. And you need to be clear. People need to understand this is not, the facts isn't up for discussion. This is the facts. Leakage is going up, whatever, or we don't have money, or there's facts that's undisputable. Then you have your idea, and you need to link those 2 with a story. Okay. And the truth, the hard truth, is that you don't have the data to do, you don't have the facts either. So it's very difficult, because the disconnect between your facts and your claim is very far. And even in innovation, normally innovation, it's very uncertain, it's a big ask. And that's kind of why you need to learn how to tell stories, how to bridge that, how to persuade and influence and negotiate. Okay, then how leaders make decisions. So there was a project done by, it's an Israeli book, Amos. They did loads of searching. They call it the Undoing Project, looking at how people make decisions and why. And decisions are made based on the minimization of regret. So basically, every person, when you do make a decision, you think, okay, will I regret this in the near future? And if you think about it, that's not a good way to make decisions. So you can say, okay, this is the best decision, but people still make decisions based on, will this come back to bite me? So the fact says 70% this is going to be a good thing. But then you've got confirmation bias, you've got all these other biases that comes in, that even though you made the right decision at that moment in time, people will judge you differently. And this is how people make decisions. They think about, how will people judge me? How will I regret this? So you just need to keep that in mind, because there is a few ways of coming over that. Maybe on that, do you guys understand that? That this is quite an interesting fact, that people make decisions based on the minimization of regret, not based on facts and the best solution, and how that might influence the way you negotiate. Okay. Then the art of negotiations, there's only two things I can remember from that old book. So there's a book called Never Split the Difference. It's the chief negotiator of the FBI hostage negotiator, and he talks about loads of things. Very cool book. He said never split the difference, because you should always get the best deal. Anyway, so give your problem to the other person. I love it. So when he went into Harvard, the guy started negotiator from Harvard, the professor. He came in, FBI, and he said, I've got your kid, 10 million pounds, otherwise I kill him. And they thought, well, I've got the chief negotiator now in the corner. And he just responded, but how do you want me to do that? Like, how do you, where, what, how much, how big, where, how do you want me to do it? And they said, well, I've got your kid, I'm going to kill him. So, but how do you want me, like, and then he just said, how do you want me to do it? And then they realized, okay, fine, this guy's not going to budge, because the art is you need to give your problem to the other person. So if they're telling you, you only have 10 million pounds, whatever, and you know you need 15, then you just say, well, we're just going to give you a third of the benefit you're looking for. How do you want me to do the rest? And then you, like, there's many times you just give your problem to the other person. You just need to formulate it and say, if someone's not giving you what you want, give your problem to the other person. It's like, I want to buy a house. The house is, let's say, 500,000 pounds. Then you go to the guy, I only have 400. How do you want me to buy the house? Well, the house is 500. Well, I only have 400. I want to buy the house, but I only have 400. So how do you want me to buy the house? You just keep on going, and then there's also other things. There's like the 20. So then they go to, what about halfway? You're like, okay, let's go halfway from that halfway. And then you kind of, but you need to have your, anyway, there's loads of skills like that. And then also in negotiations, the person that controls time controls the negotiations. So if there's a deadline that needs to be met, if you control the time in the conversation, it's like, okay, I want this money, or I want this outcome. And you're like, well, I can't give it to you even unless you give me the money. Let's talk about this tomorrow. Another person's like, but I need this outcome now. So, well, I need the money, or we talk about it tomorrow. Okay, so there's subtle things in getting what you want in negotiations. Everyone get that? It's cool? Good enough? Okay. Then rules of power. So there's 7 rules of power based on Stanford, Pfeffer, the professor. But the 3 that I remember is building a powerful brand, network relentlessly, and use your power. This is the one thing that people kind of forget, is that if you are in a powerful position, remember to exercise that power. Take action, make a decision. It's not how, the more you use power, the more you get power. So don't think, like people call it, political capital. It's like, oh, I used my political capital a little bit. No, the more you exercise your power and people see you as powerful, the more power you get. So use your power. Every time you have opportunity to actually drive something, do it, because other people see it and then your power goes up. Your ability to influence and negotiate goes up. Then, when you are now in this steering group, where you're asking for money, you're asking for everything, remember these are normally chartered financial accountants or whatever, CAs and stuff like that. Mostly financially driven people, strategic, long-term. They have no idea what you're doing. And they will probably fall asleep if you try to explain it to them. So financial people don't know what you're doing, but they do know how to know if you know what you're doing. They're very good at it. So if you go in there and you're like explaining to them, they're not listening, they're looking at your body language. They're trying to find out, are you confident in what you're saying? Can you see what you're presenting? So be 100% confident in your ability to budget. They understand budgets. Don't mess around with your budgets. So your ability to predict spend. So in 6 months' time, we're only going to spend this and only spend that. Then the next one is program, milestones. Be quite clear. You might not know what you will find, but make sure that you have reviews or the stuff that you can predict. Okay, we're going to have a report by this day. That's a program, that's a date. Stick with it, that gives confidence. Then they will give you more money. If that's your objective. And then quality. So this is the other thing Finn knows. There's a Harvard Business Review about the hard truth about innovation. And failing, failing should be fine. Failing is not fine. If you're incompetent, you're incompetent. And there's no place for incompetency in innovation. If you miss your target, that's fine because you have variables. You set in between there and you update it. But you still made the budget, the program, and the quality. The results, the benefits, or the cost for the next phase might be higher or lower, or you said the project doesn't work because the hypothesis didn't succeed. You were still competent enough to test your hypothesis, and you measure it based on your monitoring framework. You did what you said. Maybe you didn't prove your hypothesis, which is not failure, that's success. But if you fail to spend your budget on time, you're late on your deliverables, and you put in a product that doesn't even communicate well, whatever. That's not great. So being uncertain about the magnitude of the benefits of cost, yeah, that's fine. But your ability to learn should not be up for question. Okay. Then find your own way of storytelling. So use your own words. Everyone has a little bit of a unique thing, your own history, your own. There's a story that you like telling to your friends. Kind of unpack that. Why? Why do you like that story? What makes it unique to you? Everyone has a different way of talking. I like Elon Musk, but have you ever seen him at a conference talking? He's the weirdest guy you've ever seen. He's uncomfortable. He's weird. And still, he just uses it. That's his way. And now everyone accepts it, and it's quite good. So use your own voice. Use your own thing. Get comfortable and confident in your own way. And yeah, that's the other thing is buzzwords. I love buzzwords. I use it a lot. But with people that I am trying to communicate a lot of information with. So jargon is great. That's the reason why they were created. I know this is very bad if someone's recording this, but if you talk to someone that has the same industry knowledge and you work with them every day, there's nothing as good as using jargon to go through a lot of context quite quickly. If you say digital twin to someone that understands and you're talking about the same thing, ideation, incubation, all those things, they're so amazing how much information you can communicate with someone. But if you're talking to someone that doesn't have it, avoid it. And then using metaphors, it's quite good. Food is also good. People like, if you say, this idea is like candy or whatever. All of a sudden, when you hear candy, there's a chemical reaction in your brain. It's a crappy metaphor, but still candy. So I still don't know how to use that well, if you can imagine. But yeah, so I think that's... Yeah, yeah. Yeah, pizza slice metaphor.